As we end up this idea about value and value creation, one question gets asked quite often in some of the sessions that I facilitated, and that is, they'll say, Ron, how do we know how to price a product? Boy, we think it's great. It has all of these attributes, and we think it's going to be spot on for what the customer is asking for. How do we price a product? Now, this can be quite a complex subject, and I could tell you right now that we could spend weeks looking at the academic literature that has been written on appropriately pricing and how to price a product. Two things come to mind that I think would be important for your students to understand. And that is, number one, many entrepreneurs come out of the gate with the idea or the concept of, hey, and let me use the example once again. I know I've nearly worn it out, but allow me one more time. Fried chicken. Hey, we can make great fried chicken, and guess what? I'm going to sell it just a little cheaper than the guy down the street. I can sell it cheaper. Now, our philosophy and our thinking is that if I sell it cheaper, that's going to allow me to have the market, because people are price sensitive many times to products. Many products are especially commodities. Again, and if you don't understand what the idea of a commodity is, again, that's a bulk product that's widely available that doesn't have any value added to it in terms of processing. It's the raw materials that come in, that then things are added to and processes are done on to create value. But especially if it's a commodity or a very, very low-level service that can be almost considered a commodity, I see time after time entrepreneurs coming in saying, hey, I can do that a little cheaper. I'll corner the market on that. I'll have all the business and I'll be rich. And the reality of that is that's probably not the case. A better approach, it would be to focus from this perspective. I've looked at the prices that are being offered for a similar product or a similar service, and I understand what those prices are. Could I possibly provide not a lower price, but instead a greater value? Can I deliver more? Remember what the customer is looking for. What do I give? What do I get? Can I provide more to them for the same amount of money? In other words, I'm not trying to undercut by price. I'm trying to over-deliver by what I give in terms of value to the consumer. If I hold that idea in mind as I move forward with describing my value chain and trying to price my product, now I have a commanding opportunity, and that is for the same price that more than likely all my other competitors have beat themselves up about trying to get down to the very lowest price at which they can survive on. Now I come in at that same price level, but I provide more service. I provide a better value, more product, a better experience in whatever it is I'm doing. Now suddenly, customers start viewing me, my product, my service, your student's product, their service, as preferred in the marketplace. And I'm doing it not by having to discount the price, but actually holding the price at the same level. Again, there may be opportunities to give your students some looks into some more of the more classical understandings of price, whether it's value-based pricing or cost-based pricing. It's obvious that you can take a look at those too, especially if an entrepreneur may be thinking that they're looking at the cost of producing something and they forget that very basic thing, and that is to pay themselves first. I can't tell you the number of students that we have that will calculate the cost of a product they want to produce, and you look at it, and yes, they have all the numbers there about the product, but you ask them, where are you in this? How do you eat? Where's your margin? Oh, and think about that. You need to think about that. And so we always have the saying in the classes that we do, we always pay ourselves first. We find a way to put what we need as a salary, the needs that we have as a business on the top line, then look at the cost of our products as we develop those inputs in the value chain, and then finally then arrive at a cost-based structure, including our own needs, and then looking at that cost and looking at that then in the marketplace and seeing, are we close to what our competitors are doing? If not, then we have to go back and reevaluate either what we're wanting to make from our products, or do we not have a well-developed enough value chain to really get the cost of our product down low enough to where we can, again, create the margins necessary to pay ourselves. So I encourage you as facilitators to allow students to examine both a value-based pricing and cost-based pricing and arrive at what methodology may be best for them. But in the initial stages, again, I strongly encourage you to look at that idea of not allowing your students to undercut the market, but first look at how they can over-deliver on value and services. If you do that, you'll be setting yourself up for very, very positive outcomes for the next section that we're going to be dealing with.